Hello everyone, welcome back to Dark Souls Revisited. This is Kay. We're in the Great Hollow. I was cursed at the end of the previous episode going through this map, and I probably should have turned around and gotten myself cured, but the lure of treasure was too great. I really enjoyed this level. It's all kind of twisted roots and kind of hidden treasures, and you have to find the right platforms to land on to reach all of the treasures. So, not too many enemies. There are a few of the basilisks, like halfway down, and then more later on. I do kind of wish that there had been, like, I don't know, one or two enemies, sort of, where you had to fight them on really narrow, precarious ledges, but they didn't really force you to do that. Both of the spots where you encounter enemies are kind of on, like, they give you a platform to fight on. But I did like kind of the treasure hunting aspect of it. So there's a whole lot I want to talk about today, and I thought I would get started with a really good question. Ramji Vidya asked, why do you think the Souls games make for such compelling experiences? And why you yourself have been so taken by these games? So, I played Dark Souls first, before Demon Souls, and clearly it sold me. So, yeah, it's a beautiful game, and I don't just mean that it has nice graphics, which it does, but how the world is put together, how it kind of twists and turns on itself. The emphasis on environmental storytelling, how the lore is unearthed through dialogue and item descriptions, and can often be interpreted in various ways. So all of these things kind of, they drive you to spend a great deal of time looking around the game world. Not just for shinies, not just to get loot, although the game does reward you in that vein too. But you're always kind of looking for clues about the kind of deep and rich history of the world itself. You're looking at the crests and the emblems on things, on the tattered flags that you pass. You're always looking for other places you might be able to go, because so many of what you can see, you can reach. So, I think more than any other game that I've played, I really wanted to just take in the world as I was traveling through it. It wasn't just background decoration, it was part of the game. Of course, I didn't know that this would be true going into the game, and I didn't know it was going to be true even after having played the game a while. So what about that initial hook? Well, combat was a big focus of the early game, and I thought that Dark Souls implemented combat very elegantly. I was used to games like Skyrim, where melee combat was essentially you stand toe-to-toe with your enemy, and you either block, or you swing harder. And I didn't really like it much, which is actually why I typically play archers or snipers on my first run-through games. But Dark Souls did melee combat right. Rolling and dodging and parrying and playing for position always, mindful of ledges and obstacles and crowds. And through all of this, the hit detection was spot on, too. I remember moments where I'd, for example, do a jumping attack right as an enemy was winding up. And I'd think, oh god, I'm gonna get hit. But upon landing, my character model would crouch or twist in just such a way, as part of, the animation of the move, that the enemy's weapon would miss me by scant inches. And rightfully, the game calculated this as a miss. So what you saw on screen matched the outcome, seemingly to the pixel, and that really impressed me. So what else about the series? So, the Soul games, they're difficult, yes. They don't hold your hand. They don't walk you through every little thing. They expect you to push yourself, to look for patterns, to learn and to investigate. And if you do, they reward you. So when you clear a boss or reach a bonfire or even open a shortcut, you feel this like great sense of accomplishment. Not because you blindly threw yourself at it or because you did what they told you to do. In fact, blindly throwing yourself at things repeatedly in the Soul series seldom works. But because you, the player, leveled up your knowledge of the area. So, and speaking of bosses, I loved the boss designs in these games. I mean, look at what I'm fighting here. This is awesome. But I'm going to talk about bosses more later, so for now, let's just leave it at that. Josh Hoon asked, it'd be interesting to hear about some of your favorite books, films, music. So let me do books really quick. I thought about this for like 5 minutes, but the truth is there are way too many books that I enjoyed to really go into it at length. So the very first ones that sprang to mind were Jane Yolen's Pit Dragon trilogy, particularly the first book, Susan Cooper's Dark is Rising sequence, again, particularly the first book, Over Sea Under Stone. I loved that book. Cryptonomicon by Neil Stevenson, again in the kind of cryptography vein. I really enjoyed The Song of the Lioness Quartet by Tamara Pierce. Again, particularly the first book in the series, and also American Gods by Neil Gaiman. Wanted to squeeze in a quick answer before we get to the Everlasting Dragon here. The zone was amazing. I mean, it's not like there was that much to it. It's pretty much a straight shot from the bonfire to the dragon, but holy cow. Hydra leaping over the sandbar, the giant arch trees supporting the rest of Lordran. The music, oh god, the music. The only thing I was a little disappointed with was that there weren't some, like, dialogue options here that... I mean, you had this impressive dragon kind of tucked away at the end of this doubly hidden map with a covenant, but, well, I don't know. I should be fair, I didn't actually rank up in the covenant, so maybe there are some dialogue options if you like, achieve a higher rank. I should go look into that. I know that there is some story there that you can kind of start to become like a half dragon. Oh god. Stupid things. These basilisks gave me just the worst time. You can see I've switched over to using that dragon greatsword. And clearly still have some issues with Blighttown. I swear gravity pulls particularly hard in Blighttown. It's like 19.62 meters per second squared. Anyway, so here's the cool thing about this sword. Destroys the durability though. But oh man, shockwave attack.
Oh, forgive me. I was absorbed in thought. I am Dietmar of Katarina. Quite honestly, I've run flat up against a wall, or a ball to be precise. I'm afraid I'm a bit too tough to be up running those things. So here I sit in quite a pickle, weighing my options, so to speak.
Ever wonder what Sigmire of Katarina looks like? Well, now you know. Honestly, I'm sure you guys already knew. I can't be the first person to do this. I'm sure you know what all of these characters look like. Anyway, I thought it was cool.
Perhaps I could try some rolling. Bah, that's right. My head is thin.
So then this happened, and this one kind of threw me for a loop for a while. I had no idea what was going on here, and it took me a bit to find it online too. So this is a kind of rarely spawning creature called, I think, like a vagrant. that appears when, I think like when you die with a certain number of souls, or when you leave behind a certain value of souls or certain value of item. And then I got invaded here, and I never could find the invader. I ran over like the entire level trying to find this guy. And then you see the life bar down in the right there. The problem kind of took care of itself. So viewer Sporkgasm, which is a brilliant name by the way, asked about Twitch versus YouTube, whether I planned to record on Twitch or why I chose to record on YouTube. Well, the second part is easy. I didn't really know anything about Twitch when we started the channel, and I've learned I've looked into it a bit, and I don't really have any desire to stream on Twitch for a couple of reasons. Most importantly, I don't think the videos would be any good. I think I'd be really terrible at it. I don't multitask well and become easily distracted, so I'd pretty much have to ignore the chat log entirely to make any progress in the games. Also, I take a lot of breaks when I play, which, if you're ever wondering why there are like seemingly random crossfades in the video, it's usually because I took a break, either to do work or just to have a break. I record in a really loud environment. Again, we do a lot of editing on the videos, even to get them to the already less than professional quality that you see now. So I simply don't think that our recording process would translate well to a live stream. So the other point, the other reason, of course, is being on camera. I realize that anyone recording for an audience is to some degree promoting themselves, the person, as much as they're promoting the games. After all, it's the players' kind of take on the game and their actions in it and their reactions to it that distinguish one channel from another. But I don't really want to be visually a symbol for the channel. I realized this really early on. We had a picture up for like only the first day or two of the channel's life. And you might say, well, why does it matter? So, alright, this will probably be the only time I'll ever mention sex on this channel, so I hope I get it right the first time. It shouldn't matter, but the masses decide that it does. So, according to YouTube, this channel's user base is 95% male. So, women who engage games with a kind of heavily male user base are an anomaly. And for good or bad, that piques people's interest, and initially our channels benefit from it. For example, I doubt that I would have gotten as many early subs as I did had I been male, but produced otherwise identical content. So this bias exists, and leaving aside whether it's good or bad, I recognize that I benefit from it, and I'm grateful for that. But I don't want to milk it, because it's undeserved attention. So I don't draw attention to my sex on the channel. It quickly ceases to be anything interesting, and then the viewers decide whether to say or go based on the merit of the content alone. Because, I mean, what's the other option? What happens if I do make it a thing? If I face cam, if I, plaster the page with photos and title every video, a girl plays blah blah blah. Sure, I get more viewers. But now the artificial interest bubble inflates until it bursts, and there's backlash. So, at present, I've only ever deleted one comment from this channel, which I think is amazing. And it's a testament to how great you guys are, how mature you are, and to the fact that nobody really seems to care whether I'm a man or a woman. So a large part of that is that I don't make it a big deal, because it's not, and it shouldn't be. And everyone acts accordingly. Here's a perfect example of the pixel-perfect hit detection I talked about earlier. Watch this arrow here. You see that? Like, my arm was cocked back to deliver a swing, and the arrow missed me by just inches. Anyway, something nearly disastrous happens here.
By the honor of my knighthood.
Oh god, I was so panicked. So I accidentally hit Sigmire, and I really wanted to do his storyline, so I didn't want to fight him. But he was clearly angry with me. And it took me some time before I figured out that... before I remembered that there was a way to kind of clear issues like this. So we had a little dance through Anne Orlando. Back to the topic of YouTube, the same user asked, what kind of videos do you like to watch on YouTube? Do you have any favorite YouTubers? So I just went and looked at my subscriptions. I'm not actually subscribed to too many people. Souls-wise, I watch Marcus's videos, Epic Name Bro. I'm subscribed to VadiVidya and to Sunlight Blade, who does like top 10 videos that are pretty entertaining, like user submitted. I mean, I'm sure all of you know who Sunlight Blade is, but if not, go check those three people out. Since it was you guys who recommended them to me anyway. Other games, I mean, I watch the Minecraft Ultra Hardcore series. I like those a lot. It's like Minecraft if you didn't regenerate life and you only had one life. And then I'm subscribed to a bunch of like mathy and music channels, so like Numberphile and King's Crusher, who's like a chess commentator. I play a lot of chess. Vi Hart, who's a mathematician, who's a mathe-musician by her own definition, and various other musicians. And then kind of the oddball for me is I'm subscribed to Psyche Truth, which is kind of a varied channel, but I watch it because they release massage videos that are like just about the most relaxing things in the world, short of going to get a massage. They're really good, like fall asleep to this video. So I decided to on this run that I had to kill Smo first and fight Mega Ornstein. So this actually was the one bit of lore that I missed, that I knew I missed after my first playthrough, was the identity of the fourth of like Gwyn's elite knights. And it was Dragon Slayer Ornstein, but I didn't know that because I didn't get I killed him first and never got his ring. I think it was the ring. Yeah, the Leo ring. Which I think is the only way that you know who the fourth knight is. And once again, I summoned help. I tried to summon whenever I saw signs on this playthrough. And actually got a summon this time, which is nice. And of course, here's another case of my summons doing most of the work for me as I just kind of run around and heal. I got a bit overconfident with these heavy weapons at times. I just wanted to run up and mash things. Kind of more of a spectator in some of these fights. So, Ornstein down, Leo ring acquired. And Guinevere firebombed.
Thou the transgression shall not go unpunished. Thou shalt perish in the twilight of Anor Londo.
So this was a bit of story that I got so close to on my first playthrough but missed out on just because I never... It simply doesn't cross my mind to attack NPCs who haven't attacked me first. And I know, like, I miss a lot of really fun optional bosses because of it, but I just don't want to attack someone who isn't just outright asking for it. So, yeah, this NPC was a serious boss. I'll just let this fight stand for itself. Definitely one of the more fun moments I've had. Respect to that NPC.
So it was you, was it? How dare you produce a blade upon a deity? How did you ever get this far? I shall end your suffering here and now. It is the least that I can do.
Megavolt67 asked whether RPGs in general pique my interest or only the kind of action-oriented hybrids like the Souls games. All RPGs pique my interest in some respect. I mean, obviously there's a lot more to consider than just the genre of the game, but most of the games that I've played over the years are in some sense RPGs. RPG is just a really broad category. I mean, there's so many... Games can have wildly different elements and still be considered RPGs, so I'm not even sure what that means anymore, but I think the action-oriented games better lend themselves to recording. I mean, I enjoy playing, like, for example, random encounter, turn-based combat RPGs. I would enjoy playing them, but I don't think you would enjoy watching me play them.
Oh, heretic, swathed in dark, an eternal curse upon thee.
So it was time to make my run on the Four Kings, which I needed to do early in order to go after like the Dark Stalker cave slash Dark Lord storyline. And in order to do this fight, I had to wear the Covenant of Artorias, which means I had to take off one of my equipment burden rings. I had been wearing 2 of them. And I couldn't take off the Ring of Favor and Protection or I would lose it. So I had to give up Havel's Ring, and the only way I could do this while still wielding this weapon was to take off every single other piece of armor, including my shield. And this was the result. So I think I decided to ditch the weapon instead. Oh no, actually I used the same weapon, but I gave up the fast roll. I went slow roll. This is a very different fight this way. Very different. I guess this is the boss equivalent of brute forcing a solution.
Greetings, undead warrior. I am the primordial serpent, Darkstalker Khan. I can guide thee and illuminate the truth. The truth I shall share without sentiment. After the advent of fire, the ancient lords found the 3 souls, but your progenitor found a 4th, unique soul, the Dark Soul. Your ancestor claimed the Dark Souls and waited for fire to subside, and soon the flames did fade, and only dark remained. Thus began the Age of Men, the Age of Dark. However, Lord Gwyn trembled at the dark, clinging to his Age of Fire, and in dire fear of humans, and the Dark Lord who would one day be born amongst them. Lord Gwyn resisted the course of nature by sacrificing himself to link the fire and commanding his children to shepherd the humans. Gwyn has blurred your past to prevent the birth of the Dark Lord. I am the primordial serpent. I seek to right the wrongs of the past, to discover our true Lord. But the other serpent, Framt, lost his sense and befriended Lord Gwyn. Undead warrior, we stand at a crossroads. Only I know the truth about your fate. You must destroy the fading Lord Gwyn, who has coddled fire and resisted nature, and become the fourth Lord, so that you may usher in an age of dark.
Seems legit.
Very well. I shall now guide you to Gwyn's prison. Be still, and trust thine flesh to me.
So there does not seem to be a way to avoid serpent breath.
This is Gwyn's prison. Now, place the Lord vessel upon the altar.
Good God, is watching this making me want to play again? Oh.
Very well. Once the vessel is filled with souls, the gate to Gwyn shall open. Seek Gravelord Nito, the Witch of Izalith, and the traitor, Seath the Scaleless. Fill this vessel with their souls, then the gate will open, so that you may kill Gwyn. Are you ready? Then let us return to the Abyss, and trust thine flesh to me. If you wish, I shall grant the art of life drain, the legendary power of the Dark Lord. It can preserve your humanity while undead, and cast off the shackles placed upon your brethren.
Oh, the Dark Hand. Did I have some fun with that?
Undead warrior, to speak now is premature. It begins with your retrieval of the Lord Vessel. Farewell.
Really interesting story there. So, and it actually ties in really well with one of the questions. Alex Rowley asked whether I think that the player character is being misled to replace Gwyn by Framt, to be kind of burned in the first flame. and whether the Dark Lord ending might actually be the better of the two. So that's a really interesting question. Am I being misled by Frampt? I mean, initially we're just fulfilling our dying savior's quest to ring the bells of awakening and somehow cure the undead curse. Curing the curse does always seem to be our end goal. And I actually feel like that's the bigger deception. Like, bigger than the fact that we'll be sacrificing ourselves, I mean. Because our savior, I know everyone calls him Oscar, but I don't ever remember him saying this in the game. So, is his name Oscar? I mean, clearly he was willing to die for this cause. And we're accepting his quest, taking it upon ourselves. So I think it's kind of implied that we're willing to die for it too. I mean, we owe our unlife to him already, because he freed us from the asylum. So although Frampt doesn't mention that I remember that we'll perish at the end of our journey, I don't really hold that against him. But he sure does make it sound like we're going to be curing the undead curse in the process. And I don't get the feeling that that happened at all. So, yeah, I do think we're being deceived. I think that Cav is the more honest and straightforward of the two serpents. Though you can argue that it's easier to be so when your goals are more seemingly evil. I mean, the Dark Lord's power is that of life drain, right? So, and we've seen the effect that losing one's humanity, which is what life drain does, has on humans in this world. It's not pretty. But maybe the Dark Lord ending is the better of the two options after all, because linking the fire buys time. It gives kind of the current world a bit of hope, but it also prolongs their plight, prolongs their suffering. Whereas plunging the world quickly into darkness essentially extinguishes all of that hope, and presumably all of the world's denizens are reduced to raving madness and eventually perish. But we know that this entire story is cyclical, and that the embers of the flame will be rediscovered, and maybe something better will happen during the next iteration that will break the cycle. And so it could be that this iteration it's hopeless, it's beyond recovery, and the best thing that we can do is hurry it along. So yeah, maybe it's the better ending. Although, about actually becoming the Dark Lord, what's the point in that? I mean, everyone's hopeless, everyone's mad. What are we actually being lord over? I don't know. But dark-handing people sure is fun. Here, Drake. Here, Drake.
Oh, hello there. Forgive me. I was just pondering about my poor fortune. I did not find my own son, not in Anor Londo, nor in Twilight Blighttown. Where else might my son be? Lost Isolith, or the tomb of the Grave Lord? But I cannot give up. I became undead to pursue this. But when I peer at the sun up above, it occurs to me, what if I am seen as a laughingstock, as a blind fool without reason? Well, I suppose they wouldn't be far off.
Remember this guy? So let's get one more question in before I finish the video. Ninja E, and sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name, asked whether there are any spoilers that were particularly memorable. The two that spring to mind are cutting off the tails in Dark Souls 1 and burning the windmill in Dark Souls 2. Those were two things that I read comments about either before I got to the point or like after I'd first encountered it but hadn't yet solved it. And luckily in both cases, I mean, I don't think it really distracted much from the game knowing that. I mean, I didn't cut the tails, so I missed a few weapons, which is fine. I mean, it's a blind run. You shouldn't expect to, like, 100% all the secrets of the game. That's not really the point. It's just to experience it as, you know, a newcomer to the game would. And for the windmill, I think it actually benefited because I didn't burn the windmill. Now, enough time had passed that I probably wouldn't have figured that out anyway. But it made, I think, the run more interesting because I had to do that fight without clearing the poison. And that was actually kind of a fun fight with the poison intact. About the windmill, I've commented about this, but I don't think I've ever talked about it in a video. I was a bit disappointed about the resolution to that. And again, it's just comparative disappointment. Like, because FromSoft had been so good about environmental storytelling up to that point, it was a great opportunity to do exactly that, and they didn't. Like, there were so many ways that they could have hinted at the solution to that fight, without it just being, alright, somebody puts a message that says burn this thing. In particular, if it had just been more obvious that the poison in that room was coming from a source, that the source had something to do with, like, the moving gears. So anyway, so what you can see here is that I'm working on the Solaire storyline. I'm trying to save Solaire from death at my hand, which involves kind of going the long way through all these levels, opening up this door. I'm gonna talk over Solaire here because the audio sync on this clip was really bad. So what he's saying in the dialogue at the bottom of the screen don't match up at all by like 10 seconds. So this was one of the Daughters of Chaos, which I didn't realize at all on my first playthrough. I guess there's a bunch of them in the game. Like the body that's by Ceaseless Discharge. And actually Ceaseless Discharge, who I guess was like the son. And the Bed of Chaos fight coming up next. A lot of people seem like they dislike this fight. I actually really enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. Like trying to like jump over these things while the jump over the holes that appear while the branches sweep at you, and it sounds like one of the major complaints is that it's kind of like a crapshoot, like getting through the sweeps. But I don't know. Maybe I just got lucky, but it seemed like it was kind of pattern recognition to me. Like make it do it's double swing, and then you roll into each of the two swings, and then you have enough time after that move to like drop down onto the ledge. That saying, here's me dying. It was just a bad jump though. Yeah, I don't know though. So I would have counted this among like my more liked fights of the game, at least. Just because, I don't know, it was different. But your mileage may vary. Everyone enjoys different things. Whoop. Got me. It did take me a bit, I remember, to figure out that you had to run down the middle at all, actually. I guess not too tremendously long. I also wonder, is there anywhere in the arena that you can stand other than maybe in the... I don't even know if these count. That's safe from that kind of fire attack, or does that just hit everything? Because I remember trying to hide behind various obstacles in the room, and it seemed like everywhere I stood I could get hit by something. Anyway, so we're gonna down this boss, and that's gonna tie up this video. Thanks everyone. I hope that this format is entertaining to you all. It's definitely new for me. It's a different experience. Like, I don't at all get this right on the first try. I take so many attempts to record each one, so I hope it's worth the effort. Let me know if you like this or not.